Every day, the world pulls you in 1,000 directions, each one demanding your time, your energy, your soul. But you are not here to chase everything. You are here to conquer what matters. When you focus relentlessly on your true mission, you ignite a power few will ever know. But if you scatter your focus, you sacrifice your potential. Will you live with purpose or get lost in the noise? Your future is being decided right now. In a few moments, you will discover how to focus your energy only on what truly matters and eliminate everything else. Focus is your greatest power. Many people move fast in life, but very few move forward. You may be working hard, keeping busy, chasing dozens of goals at once. But ask yourself, are you advancing toward the life you truly desire? Or are you just spinning your wheels? Focus is the ability to cut through the noise, to direct all your energy toward what actually moves you closer to your purpose. Without focus, even the most talented individuals scatter their power until nothing remains. Yet when you focus, when you choose one thing, one dream, one mission, you ignite a force within you that no obstacle can withstand. Think of a magnifying glass. Scattered sunlight is harmless, but concentrated light can burn through anything. Andrew Carnegie built an empire because he learned early to put all his eggs in one basket, and then watch that basket. World conspires against your focus. Every distraction pulls at your attention until you're stretched too thin to make meaningful progress. This constant fragmentation of effort is the silent killer of dreams. Not failure, but dilution. Consider the oak tree that channels all its energy into growing deep roots before reaching skyward. It doesn't try to grow in every direction at once. Nature understands what we often forget. Greatness requires concentration of force. When you examine the lives of extraordinary achievers, artists, entrepreneurs, athletes, scientists, you'll find a common thread. They mastered the art of elimination. They knew what to ignore. They developed the courage to disappoint people in areas that didn't align with their central mission. Focus demands sacrifice. You cannot be everything to everyone. You cannot excel in every domain. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you'll begin to make real progress. Create systems that protect your focus. Schedule deep work sessions where nothing interrupts your flow. Establish boundaries that preserve your mental energy for what matters most. Remember that focus isn't just about work. It applies to every dimension of life. Your relationships deepen when you give undivided attention. Your health improves when you concentrate on key habits rather than trying 20 different approaches. Your spiritual growth accelerates when you commit to consistent practice. The paradox of focus is that by narrowing your path, you expand your possibilities. By doing less, you accomplish more. By simplifying, you create space for extraordinary results to emerge. You may have many interests, many talents, but will you have the courage to choose what matters most and give it everything? Or will you remain forever divided, wondering why success seems reserved for others? The decision is yours, and it begins with one word: focus. When you finally commit to channeling your finite energy toward your highest purpose, you'll discover a momentum you never thought possible. The world makes way for those who know exactly where they're going. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. You are not born to be mediocre. Deep within you lies a calling, a mission that only you can fulfill. Yet every day, countless distractions pull you away from your true path. Endless news cycles, trivial gossip, and the perpetual fear of missing out. These modern sirens fragment your focus and scatter your energy across a landscape of the inconsequential. It's not that you lack potential. It's that you're giving your precious energy to things that do not deserve it. Each minute spent scrolling through feeds, each hour lost to mindless entertainment, each day consumed by others' priorities. These are not harmless breaks. They are quiet thieves, stealing away the very life force needed to manifest your purpose. Success isn't stolen in grand gestures, it's surrendered bit by bit, day by day, to meaningless distraction. The greatest tragedy isn't failing at your dreams but never truly pursuing them because your attention was elsewhere. Thomas Edison with his relentless experiments. Abraham Lincoln with his unwavering resolve despite overwhelming obstacles. Helen Keller breaking through barriers of darkness and silence. What set them apart wasn't superhuman ability. It was their refusal to let distractions rule their days. They built walls around their purpose, guarding their time and attention as their most precious resources. But will you do the same? Will you continue letting the trivial rob you of the extraordinary? Every time you reach for your TV instead of your goals, every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're making a trade, and it's rarely in your favor. The most dangerous distractions aren't even entertaining. They're the comfortable routines that keep you busy enough to avoid confronting your potential. They're the reasonable voices that convince you to play it safe, to postpone your dreams for someday. They're the endless planning that substitutes for actual doing. Imagine how far you could go if you reclaimed the energy you waste today. What mountains could you climb if you channeled your scattered attention into a focused beam of intention? Would you build a business that transforms lives? Write a book that changes hearts? Heal relationships that matter deeply? Transform your health and vitality? You already know the answer. Now act like it. This isn't about perfect productivity or joyless discipline. It's about alignment. Ensuring that how you spend your moments reflects what truly matters to you. It's about recognizing that your attention isn't just something you pay, it's the currency of your life's purpose. Distraction isn't just the enemy of productivity, it's the enemy of destiny. Every great achievement in human history came from people who refused to be pulled away from their purpose. They understood that while distractions may be inevitable, surrendering to them is optional. Today, right now, you stand at a crossroads. Will you continue allowing your attention to be hijacked, your energy to be scattered, or will you draw a line in the sand and declare, no more, my time is too valuable, my purpose too important? Your destiny is calling. Will you be too distracted to answer? Clarity creates power. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. And yet so many drift through life, hoping success will magically find them. Their aspirations remain vague clouds of someday, and somehow never solidifying into the concrete visions needed to guide decisive action. Hope is not a strategy. Wishing won't manifest your dreams. Only clarity followed by consistent action can do that. You want a life of significance, you must be clear about what matters to you. Crystal clear. Vague desires produce vague results. Specific, well-defined goals generate specific, measurable outcomes. This precision isn't just helpful, it's essential. The universe responds to clarity with opportunity, to confusion with chaos. What do you want? Not what should you want, not what others expect you to want, but what truly ignites your soul. When you strip away the noise of societal expectations and peer pressure, what remains? That remnant, that authentic desire is your starting point. Name it, define it, see it in vivid detail. Who must you become? Goals aren't just about acquiring things or achievements, they're about transformation. The person who achieves great things isn't the same person who started the journey. What qualities must you develop? What skills must you master? What habits must you form? What limiting beliefs must you abandon? Your vision isn't just about changing your circumstances, it's about changing you. What price are you willing to pay? Everything valuable costs something. Time, energy, comfort, security, relationships. The question isn't whether there's a price, there always is, but whether you're willing to pay it. Many desire the destination but refuse the journey. They want the view from the summit but reject the climb. Clarity demands honesty about the sacrifice required. Clarity turns wishes into plans and plans into action. When you know precisely where you're going, you can map the steps to get there. Each morning brings purpose rather than confusion. Each decision becomes simpler because it either moves you toward your vision or away from it. The fog of indecision lifts when your destination is defined. Every great achievement, from the building of the pyramids to the moon landing, began with someone daring to define their goal clearly. No monument was ever built to a vague intention. No revolution was ever sparked by an ambiguous desire. History belongs to those who knew exactly what they wanted and pursued it with unwavering focus. Andrew Carnegie didn't hope to be rich, he declared it. Thomas Edison didn't wish to illuminate the world, he committed to it with absolute clarity. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't have a vague notion, he had a dream, so vivid he could articulate its every detail. These weren't just dreamers, they were visionaries who transformed their clear sight into world-changing action. Will you dare to declare your vision, or will you keep drifting, a ship without a rudder? Will you continue living reactively, responding to whatever life throws at you? Or will you live proactively, guided by a clear vision of your own making? Clarity isn't just empowering, it's liberating. It frees you from the paralysis of indecision and the tyranny of others' expectations. Your future demands an answer. Not tomorrow, not next year. No. What do you truly want? Name it, see it, declare it. The moment you achieve absolute clarity is the moment you begin to harness true power, the power to create the life you were meant to live. Say no to 1,000 things. Success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, better. In a world that celebrates busy schedules and endless commitments, this truth feels almost subversive. We've been conditioned to equate productivity with quantity, to measure our worth by the length of our to-do lists. But true achievement isn't found in scattered effort. It's born from focused mastery. Every yes to a distraction is a no to your destiny. This isn't mere wordplay, it's mathematical reality. Your time, energy, and attention are finite resources. Every commitment you make represents an allocation of these precious assets. When you say yes to trivial matters, you're simultaneously declining investments in what matters most. The most successful people aren't those with the most opportunities, but those with the clearest priorities. They recognize that excellence demands concentration. They understand that saying yes to everything means committing fully to nothing. They've learned that what you exclude from your life defines you as much as what you include. You must develop the courage to disappoint others to be true to yourself. This might be the hardest lesson to internalize. We're social creatures, wired to seek approval and avoid rejection. Saying no feels uncomfortable, even painful. But living someone else's priorities guarantees you'll never fully realize your own. Sometimes, the most selfless thing you can do is to honor your calling, even when it means declining others' requests. The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. This insight isn't about being difficult or uncooperative. It's about being strategic and intentional. It's about recognizing that exceptional results require exceptional focus. You may be talented enough to do many things, but are you wise enough to choose only what matters most? Versatility can be a curse disguised as a blessing. The more capable you are, the more temptations you'll face to divide your attention. But diluted focus yields diluted results. The question isn't whether you can do something, but whether you should. Picture a laser beam. It cuts through steel because it says no to everything except one point. A flashlight scatters light in all directions, illuminating briefly but changing nothing. A laser concentrates its energy, focusing all its power on a single spot. Your life can have that same power, but only if you dare to be selective. The art of elimination isn't about restriction, it's about liberation. Every no to the non-essential creates space for the essential. Every declined distraction adds power to your purpose. Every boundary you set protects the dream you're nurturing. Are you willing to protect your dream with 1,000 no's? Will you have the courage to decline good opportunities to preserve your energy for great ones? Can you withstand the pressure to conform to others' expectations? Your greatest contributions to the world will emerge not from doing everything, but from doing the right things with undivided attention. Say no to 1,000 things so your yes can change the world. Inertia flows where attention goes. What you feed grows. What you neglect dies. This principle operates throughout nature with unwavering consistency in gardens, relationships, skills, and perhaps most powerfully, in the landscape of your mind. Your thoughts are not passive observers of reality. They are active creators of it. They shape what you perceive, what you pursue, and ultimately what you achieve. Your mind is fertile ground. Every thought you water will produce a harvest. Each time you direct your attention toward a particular idea, concern, or possibility, you're nurturing it. You're providing the essential ingredients it needs to expand into something more substantial. Nothing in your mental garden remains static. It either flourishes under your attention or withers from neglect. Focus your attention on problems, and you grow problems. They multiply, becoming more complex and intimidating with each moment of worried contemplation. Your mental energy acts as fertilizer, encouraging these challenges to take deeper root in your consciousness. Soon, problems that once appeared manageable now loom as insurmountable obstacles. Focus your attention on possibilities and you grow possibilities. When you consistently train your awareness on opportunities and solutions, they begin to reveal themselves in unexpected places. Connections form between previously disconnected ideas. Creative pathways emerge where once there seemed only dead ends. Possibility thinking doesn't ignore reality, it expands it. This is not positive thinking. It is the fundamental law of creation. The directive power of attention isn't about denying difficulties or plastering a smile over legitimate concerns. It's about recognizing the generative nature of focused consciousness. Where sustained attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows consistently, creation inevitably follows. When Thomas Edison faced 10,000 failures trying to invent the light bulb, he focused not on failure, but on the one step closer he was to success. "I have not failed," he famously remarked. "I've just found 10 zero ways that won't work." This wasn't semantic gymnastics. It was a deliberate redirection of attention that maintained the energy needed for eventual breakthrough. Each disappointment became not an ending, but an essential step in the journey. The world's greatest innovators, healers, and leaders understand this principle intuitively. Marie Curie focused on the possibilities of radioactivity despite countless experimental setbacks. They recognized that sustained attention determines not just mood, but momentum. What about you? When life throws obstacles in your path, will you focus on the rock or the road? Will your attention fixate on what's blocking you or on the path forward that remains? The obstacle and the path both exist simultaneously, but only one deserves the power of your sustained focus. Will you see the barrier or the breakthrough? Every challenge contains within it the seeds of opportunity, but those seeds germinate only under the light of attentive awareness. What appears as a dead end to a problem-frequent mind often reveals itself as a doorway to a solution-frequent one. What you choose to focus on today will determine your reality tomorrow. Your attention is the most powerful tool you possess for shaping your experience of life. It's the chisel with which you carve your perception of reality. Use it consciously, deliberately, wisely. History remembers the warriors who, upon reaching enemy shores, burned their ships. The Spanish conquistador, Hernan Cortez, ordered his vessels destroyed after landing in Mexico in 1519. The Roman general Caesar crossed the Rubicon knowing there was no return. They left themselves no choice but victory. When retreat becomes impossible, the human spirit discovers resources it never knew existed. Desperation breeds innovation. Necessity fuels courage. You, too, must burn the mental bridges that keep you tied to mediocrity. These bridges take many forms. The fallback career that feels safe. The relationship you maintain just in case. The old habits you preserve as comfort zones. Each represents an unconscious division of your commitment, a hidden reservation that says, I'm not all in. These safety nets may protect you from failure, but they also prevent you from soaring. Stop trying, start deciding. Trying contains within it the seed of its own defeat. It leaves room for failure while appearing to move towards success. When you merely try to achieve something, you're already preparing your excuse. But when you decide, truly decide, you activate forces within yourself that remained dormant before. Alexander the Great conquered the known world not because he was the strongest, but because he was the most committed. When facing the seemingly impossible knot of Gordius, legend says he simply cut through it rather than attempting to untie it like others before him. This decisive action foreshadowed his approach to empire building, direct, uncompromising, and free from hesitation. He didn't try to conquer the world, he decided to. The moment of bridge burning isn't about recklessness. It comes after careful selection of your objective, after ensuring the game is worth the candle. But once that assessment is complete, half measures become the enemy. Total commitment doesn't guarantee success, but lack of commitment virtually guarantees failure. Are you willing to eliminate the safety nets that keep you small? Can you identify the backup plans that are silently sabotaging your primary mission? What would change if you approached your most important goal with the desperation of someone who has no way back, only forward? Or will you cling to comfort and call it caution? Will you continue the dance of partial commitment, telling yourself you're being wise while actually feeding your fear? There's a profound difference between strategic caution and emotional self-protection disguised as prudence. The greatest regrets in life rarely come from wholehearted failures. They come from half-hearted attempts. The bridges we kept intact just in case. The ships we kept docked at shore while claiming to explore new worlds. These compromises might spare us pain in the moment, but they extract a terrible price over time. The slow erosion of potential, the quiet death of dreams. Burn your bridges, not in anger, but in commitment, not in desperation, but in decision. Leave yourself no choice but forward movement, no option but success, however you define it. The flames of those burning bridges will light your way forward more brightly than any cautious candle ever could. Become a master of your time. Time is the currency of life, and every day you are either investing it or wasting it. Unlike money, which can be earned back, time flows in one direction only. Once spent, it cannot be recovered, refunded, or extended. Each of us receives exactly 24 hours daily. No more for the wealthy, no less for the poor. This perfect democracy of time makes how you use it the ultimate differentiator between achievement and regret. Focused individuals don't find time, they make time. They recognize that time never simply appears for important work. It must be claimed, protected, and allocated with intention. While others complain about their schedules, masters of time design theirs. They understand that waiting for the right moment ensures that moment never arrives. They create it instead. They ruthlessly protect their hours like treasure. They establish boundaries that others might find extreme. They decline invitations others would accept. They recognize that every yes carries an opportunity cost, the invisible no, to something potentially more valuable. This isn't selfishness, it's stewardship of their most precious resource. They know that every minute spent on the unimportant steals from the important. Each distraction, each trivial task, each shallow engagement doesn't just consume the present moment, it ransoms your future. The master of time understands that what appears urgent rarely equals what is truly important. They distinguish between the demanding and the vital. Benjamin Franklin understood this when he said, "Lost time is never found again." His rigorous daily schedule, filled with deliberate blocks for specific purposes, reflected his understanding that structure creates freedom. By deciding in advance how his hours would be spent, he liberated himself from the tyranny of in-the-moment decisions that so often favor comfort over progress. You cannot expect to live a focused life if your schedule belongs to everyone but you. When your calendar is filled by others' priorities, your purpose withers. When your attention is constantly hijacked, your concentration fragments. When you respond to every request as though it were an emergency, your most significant work remains undone. The most successful people in every field share one common trait. They control their time rather than allowing time to control them. They understand that reactive living, responding to whatever appears in front of them, guarantees mediocrity. Proactive time management, directing hours toward predetermined priorities, paves the path to excellence. So who controls your time today? You or your distractions? Are you the architect of your hours, or have you surrendered that power to the loudest voices around you? Do you approach each day with clear intentions, or do you allow circumstances to dictate your focus? The answer reveals not just how you manage your schedule, but how you direct your life. What would change if you treated your time as your most sacred asset? If you guarded your focus as vigilantly as you guard your wallet? If you invested your hours with the same care you invest your savings, the transformation would extend far beyond productivity. It would reshape your relationships, your health, your learning, and ultimately, your legacy. Mastering your time begins with a single question. Is this the best use of my time right now? Asked consistently, this question becomes a compass, guiding you away from distraction and toward purpose. It challenges comfortable habits and exposes unconscious time wasters. It demands honesty about what truly matters. Time will pass whether you manage it or not. The hours will tick by regardless of how intentionally you use them. The question is not whether you will spend your time. You will. The question is whether, at life's end, you'll look back at time well invested or merely time spent. Become a master of your time. Everything else follows. Beware the good. To pursue the great good is the enemy of great. This paradox lies at the heart of extraordinary achievement. While mediocrity is easily recognized and rejected, good is far more dangerous. It satisfies just enough to prevent hunger for more. It provides just enough comfort to discourage risk. It offers just enough approval to quiet the voice that calls you to excellence. It is easy to settle for a good job, a good relationship, a good life. These achievements aren't failures, they're commendable milestones that surpass what many ever attain. Yet they can become gilded cages, trapping potential within the confines of adequacy. The satisfaction they provide can numb you to the discomfort required for growth. But deep down, you know you are made for something greater. There's a reason why contentment with good enough feels hollow over time. That restlessness isn't ingratitude. It's your spirit recognizing the gap between what is and what could be. It's the voice of your highest self refusing to be silenced by comfortable compromise. Focus demands that you sacrifice good enough for extraordinary. This is perhaps the most difficult sacrifice of all. Rejecting what's clearly harmful requires little courage. Rejecting what's objectively beneficial for something better demands uncommon wisdom and resolve. It means looking beyond immediate validation toward longer horizons. Focus is about saying no, even to the things you like, so you can give your all to the few things that truly matter. The most successful people aren't those who pursue every attractive opportunity. They're those who develop almost superhuman selectivity. They understand that excellence demands concentration, and concentration requires elimination, even of worthy pursuits. Mozart didn't become a master by dabbling in painting alongside his music. Marie Curie didn't scatter her brilliance across multiple scientific disciplines. They chose their arenas with care and then poured themselves fully into them. You will face many good opportunities, but will you have the strength to wait for the great one? In a culture that celebrates immediate gratification, patience becomes a revolutionary act. The courage to decline good offers while waiting for alignment with your highest calling is increasingly rare. This patience isn't passive, it's the active cultivation of discernment. Will you trade immediate comfort for lasting significance? Will you sacrifice the approval that comes from meeting others' expectations to pursue the path that resonates with your deepest truth? The road to greatness rarely follows the crowd. It often winds through valleys of doubt and criticism before reaching higher ground. Beware, especially of becoming trapped by your own success. Yesterday's breakthrough can become today's limitation if you allow past achievement to define your future potential. What worked before, what was good then, may prevent what could be great now. The skills, mindsets, and approaches that brought you this far may be precisely what you need to release to go further. The world doesn't need more people doing good things adequately. It needs people who have found their unique confluence of passion, purpose, and capability, and who pursue it with singular focus. It needs individuals willing to refine their gifts to their highest expression rather than diluting them across good but ultimately distracting pursuits. The space between good and great isn't measured in skill alone, but in courage. The courage to bypass the good, to endure the uncertainty, to withstand the questioning glances of those who don't understand your choices. It requires the strength to remain temporarily unfulfilled while preparing for something more aligned with your highest potential. Beware the good. It may be the very thing keeping you from the great. Prayer gives focus its power. Focus without purpose is just stubbornness. It's sustained attention without direction, persistence without meaning. Like a powerful engine idling in neutral, it consumes energy without creating movement. Many confuse mere concentration with purposeful focus, but the difference is profound. One is tactical, the other transformational. Purpose gives focus meaning. It lights the fire within you that refuses to be extinguished. When your efforts are connected to something larger than yourself, something that resonates with your deepest values, you access reserves of energy and resilience that remain dormant in its absence. Purpose transforms discipline from burden to privilege, from obligation to opportunity. When you know why you are doing something, you find the strength to keep going when everything says you should quit. The path to anything worthwhile invariably passes through valleys of doubt, exhaustion, and apparent failure. In these dark passages, technique alone cannot sustain you. Knowledge alone cannot motivate you. Only purpose, a compelling reason that speaks to your soul, can illuminate the way forward. Viktor Frankl, surviving the horrors of the concentration camps, said that those who had a why to live could bear almost any how. As a psychiatrist imprisoned in Nazi death camps, he observed firsthand that survival wasn't primarily determined by physical strength. Those who endured the unendurable were often those who maintained a sense of purpose, whether reuniting with loved ones, completing unfinished work, or bearing witness to the suffering around them. Their focus wasn't just intense, It was anchored in profound meaning. The world's greatest achievements share this common foundation. The Wright brothers endured years of failed attempts not merely because they were focused, but because they were driven by a vision of human flight that transcended immediate setbacks. Mother Teresa sustained her work in Calcutta's slums, not through discipline alone, but through unshakable spiritual purpose. Martin Luther King Jr. faced violence and imprisonment with steady resolve because his focus served a dream larger than his own life. What is your why? What calls to you beneath the surface noise of daily demands and fleeting desires? What would you pursue even if no external reward or recognition followed? These aren't merely philosophical questions, they're practical foundations for sustainable focus. Without clear answers, your attention will inevitably scatter across whatever seems urgent in the moment. What dream burns so deeply inside you that quitting is not an option? Is it creating something that outlasts you? Solving a problem that affects many lives? Mastering a craft to its highest expression? Healing relationships that matter most? The specific nature of your purpose is less important than its authenticity. It must resonate with your unique constellation of values, talents, and experiences. Until you know, you will always waver. You'll be vulnerable to distraction, susceptible to discouragement, and prone to abandoning difficult paths when resistance arises. Without the gravitational pull of purpose, your focus will drift like a satellite without orbit. Impressive in its technology, but ultimately lost in space. But once you know, you become unstoppable. Not because the obstacles disappear, they won't. Not because the work becomes easier, it rarely does. You become unstoppable because the obstacles and difficulties are reframed. They transform from reasons to quit into opportunities to demonstrate commitment. They evolve from evidence of failure into necessary steps toward mastery. Purpose doesn't just power focus. It purifies it. It helps you distinguish between what merely captures your attention and what truly deserves it. It provides the standard against which you can evaluate opportunities, relationships, and commitments. It answers the essential question, why this and not something else? Find your purpose, and focus will follow. Connect with what matters most deeply to you, and sustained attention becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Without purpose, focus remains a technique. With purpose, it becomes a force that can reshape not just your schedule, but your life, and perhaps even the world. Guard your mind relentlessly. You would never leave your front door wide open for thieves to enter. You wouldn't willingly invite intruders into your home, allowing them to take what they want and destroy what remains. You install locks, set alarms, and remain vigilant against physical threats. Yet how often do you leave your mind wide open to negativity, doubt, fear? How frequently do you allow toxic influences to wander freely through your mental landscape, stealing your confidence and sabotaging your focus? Focus demands that you guard your mental environment like your life depends on it, because it does. Your mind is the command center for everything you do, everything you achieve, everything you become. When it's compromised by destructive input, your actions inevitably follow. When it's cluttered with mental noise, clarity becomes impossible. When it's poisoned by limiting beliefs, your potential withers before it can flourish. The company you keep shapes your thinking more powerfully than you realize. Their attitudes, their beliefs, their ambitions, all quietly influence yours through 1,000 invisible interactions. Are you surrounded by dream builders or dream killers? By those who elevate your thinking or those who drag it down to mediocrity? The books you read reprogram your mind, word by word, page by page. They are conversations with the greatest or worst thinkers across time and space. Each one leaves its mark on your mental operating system, installing new beliefs, perspectives, and possibilities, or reinforcing old limitations. Are you feeding your mind wisdom that expands your horizons, or mental junk food that keeps you comfortable but stagnant? The media you consume enters your consciousness with or without your permission. Each headline, each image, each story shapes your perception of what's possible, what's important, what's true. In an age of infinite content designed to capture attention rather than enhance life, mental gatekeeping isn't optional, it's essential. Does your media diet nourish your highest aspirations or cater to your lowest impulses? All these influences shape your focus. They determine what captures your attention, what holds it, and what you ultimately do with it. They establish the mental environment in which your goals either thrive or die. No amount of concentration techniques can overcome a mind constantly bombarded with influences that undermine your purpose. Who is influencing your focus right now? Whose voice is loudest in your mental space? Is it voices from your past telling you what you cannot do? Is it the endless chatter of news cycles designed to trigger fear and outrage? Is it the carefully curated highlight reels of others' lives breeding comparison and discontent? Or is it the clear signal of your own highest wisdom, amplified by carefully chosen positive influences? Are they sharpening your vision or dulling it? Do these influences bring your purpose into clearer focus or blur it with distraction? Do they challenge you toward growth or comfort you in complacency? Do they expand your sense of what's possible or reinforce artificial limitations? It's time to choose your influences wisely. This isn't about positive thinking as naive denial of reality. It's about strategic curation of what enters your consciousness. It's about recognizing that in a world competing relentlessly for your attention, letting everything in means standing for nothing. It means becoming a mental doormat for whatever passes by. Guarding your mind requires courage, the courage to disconnect, to say no, to walk away from influences that don't serve your highest good, even when those influences come from people you care about. It requires the discipline to establish boundaries not just around your time, but around your attention itself. Your focus is too valuable to be left unguarded. Your potential is too precious to be exposed to thieves of confidence and saboteurs of ambition. Your purpose is too important to be diluted by mental pollution. Guard your mind as the treasure it is, vigilantly, relentlessly, unapologetically. Everything you hope to achieve depends on it. Discipline is love for your future self. Discipline isn't a punishment. It is the highest form of love you can show to yourself. When you discipline yourself to stay focused, to resist easy distractions, and invest your time wisely, you are sending a message to your future self: I care about you. Most people chase comfort today and suffer regret tomorrow. But you have a choice. Endure the small pain of discipline now, or suffer the massive pain of regret later. Every time you stay focused on your mission, despite the temptation to quit, you build your future masterpiece. Imagine a stonecutter hammering away at a rock. The first strike shows no visible change, nor the second, nor the third. But persistence, driven by discipline, eventually splits the stone. Will you honor the future champion inside you? Or will you sell out your dreams for the fleeting pleasure of distraction? Discipline as a form of time travel. Each disciplined action today is a gift you send forward in time. That extra hour of focused work, the healthy meal chosen over convenient junk food, the workout completed when you didn't feel like moving, these are packages of potential, unwrapped by your future self with gratitude. The language of discipline speaks through consistent habits. Small daily choices compound into remarkable outcomes. The writer who commits to 500 words each morning eventually produces novels. The entrepreneur who dedicates time to learning and strategic action builds empires. The artist who practices deliberately transforms raw talent into mastery. Discipline also creates freedom, a paradox many fail to understand. By establishing boundaries around your time and energy, you gain the freedom to pursue what truly matters. By saying no to the trivial many, you say yes to the vital few. When temptation calls, remember that discomfort is temporary, but regret can last a lifetime. The momentary pleasure of procrastination fades quickly, while the satisfaction of accomplishment endures. Choose the pain of discipline over the pain of disappointment. Self-discipline isn't about perfection, it's about resilience. You will falter. You will have days when your resolve weakens. What matters is how quickly you return to your path. Champions aren't those who never fall. They're those who rise with renewed purpose after each setback. Your future self is watching your decisions today. Will you be the hero of your story or the victim of your circumstances? Will you sacrifice tomorrow's fulfillment for today's comfort? Discipline transforms potential into reality. It converts dreams into achievements. It turns ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. The choice is yours. Embrace the challenge of discipline and send a message of love to your future self, or surrender to distraction and send a message of indifference. Your future awaits your decision. Make it one you'll be proud to own. Your environment either sharpens or shatters you. You cannot expect to plant roses in concrete and watch them bloom. Your environment must nourish your focus, not poison it. The people you surround yourself with, the conversations you entertain, the spaces you inhabit, they all either sharpen your purpose or shatter it. No one rises alone. Think about your environment today. Are you surrounded by those who believe in growth, discipline, and excellence? Or are you weighed down by mediocrity and fear? Your focus is fragile. Protect it by choosing your environment intentionally. You cannot soar with eagles if you are nesting with pigeons. What environment are you choosing to grow your dreams in? The greatest illusion of personal development is that willpower alone creates success. But willpower is a finite resource that depletes against constant resistance. The wise understand that environmental design trumps determination every time. By consciously crafting your surroundings, you create a current that carries you toward your goals rather than fighting against a relentless tide. Your physical spaces speak to your subconscious constantly. Clutter whispers chaos to your mind. Disorganization breeds distracted thinking. The workspace that inspires creativity, the home that encourages rest, the environment that promotes health. These are not luxuries, but necessities for exceptional living. Most powerful of all is your social environment. The 5 people you spend the most time with shape your ambitions, beliefs, and behaviors more than any motivational speech ever could. Their standards become your norm. Their limitations can become invisible barriers you never think to cross. Environments work through subtle influence rather than obvious force. Like water shaping stone over time, your surroundings mold your thinking patterns, emotional responses, and default behaviors. This invisible pressure can either forge diamonds or create fractures. The tragedy is watching potential withered by poisonous environments. The brilliant mind, surrounded by those who mock ambition. The artist whose creativity is stifled by practical voices. The entrepreneur whose bold ideas are consistently met with doubt rather than possibility. Transformation often requires transplantation. Sometimes the bravest act is to uproot yourself from familiar but limiting surroundings and replant yourself where growth becomes inevitable rather than impossible. Creating an environment that serves you demands both addition and subtraction. What voices need amplifying in your life? What influences need muting? Which relationships energize your mission and which deplete your resilience? The environment you choose today determines the person you become tomorrow. It's not merely about avoiding negative influences, but actively curating positive ones. Seek out mentors who have walked your desired path. Fill your spaces with symbols of your aspirations. Create rituals that reinforce your identity. Your environment is not neutral. It is either your greatest ally or your fiercest opponent in the battle for focus. Choose wisely where you plant your dreams, for even the strongest seed cannot thrive in hostile soil. The question is not whether your environment is shaping you. It is. The question is whether it's shaping you by intentional design or by unconscious default. Your future self awaits your answer. Wins compound into great victories. It is easy to be deceived by small actions. Skipping a work, delaying a project, spending another hour on distractions, they seem harmless in isolation, but compounded over time, they determine your destiny. Focused individuals understand the power of tiny, consistent wins. Like a drop of water falling persistently on stone, these small victories eventually shape mountains. Are you accumulating small wins that move you closer to your dream, or small losses that pull you farther away? Success doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. Are you willing to choose the daily disciplines that will, one day, make you unstoppable? The human mind craves dramatic transformation, the overnight success, the stunning breakthrough, the moment when everything changes. But this cinematic view of achievement blinds us to the quiet power of incremental progress, where true mastery is forged in the mundane moments between highlights. Great achievements are rarely the product of heroic efforts, but rather the accumulated interest on consistent deposits into the bank of mastery. The author who writes 100 words daily completes novels while waiting for inspiration. The investor who regularly saves small amounts builds wealth while others chase windfalls. The athlete who never misses training outperforms more talented competitors who practice sporadically. The challenge lies in the emotional asymmetry of daily discipline. The pain of effort is immediate while its rewards are delayed. The pleasure of procrastination is immediate while its costs are delayed. Champions develop the rare ability to override this fundamental human programming, making decisions based on future value rather than present comfort. Small daily wins create a psychological momentum that transforms difficult tasks into habitual behaviors. What once required willpower eventually becomes automatic, freeing mental resources for higher challenges. This is how ordinary people accomplish extraordinary feats, not through superhuman efforts, but through ordinary actions performed with extraordinary consistency. The quality of your life emerges from the quality of your habits. Each small choice, reading instead of scrolling, creating instead of consuming, focusing instead of multitasking, represents a vote for the person you wish to become. Over time, these votes accumulate into an identity that makes future disciplined actions not just easier, but inevitable. Understand that regression is part of progression. The champion's journey is never a straight line upward, but rather a jagged path of advances and retreats. What separates the exceptional from the average is not the absence of setbacks, but the refusal to let temporary failures become permanent defeats. A missed workout becomes a renewed commitment. A creative block becomes an opportunity to refine your process. The most dangerous threats to your potential aren't dramatic failures, but subtle compromises. The decision to start tomorrow, the just this once exceptions, the moving of goalposts to avoid discomfort. These small surrenders, invisible in isolation, accumulate into a life of unrealized potential. Excellence is not an event, but a habit. Mastery is not a destination, but a never-ending pursuit. The most substantial rewards come to those who fall in love with the process rather than fixating solely on outcomes. The question is not whether you have what it takes to succeed spectacularly today, but whether you have the patience and perseverance to accumulate small daily wins that in time will render your success virtually inevitable. Are you willing to become the person who shows up day after day when motivation fades and progress seems imperceptible? If so, your victory is merely a matter of time. Emotions are servants, not masters. Emotions are natural, but letting them master you is optional. Every goal worth pursuing will stir up fear, doubt, frustration, but focus demands you rule over your emotions, not be ruled by them. Imagine a general who abandoned the battlefield because he felt afraid. Victory belongs to those who march forward, heart pounding, hands shaking, because they refuse to bow to temporary emotions. Thomas Edison didn't feel motivated after 10,000 failures. He chose commitment over comfort. Your feelings are important, but your destiny is more important. Will you let a bad mood cancel your mission? Or will you use your emotions as fuel to move forward? We live in a culture that has elevated emotional comfort to the status of a moral imperative. Follow your heart. Do what feels right. If it doesn't spark joy, discard it. These modern mantras sound enlightened but create a dangerous illusion that our feelings should govern our actions rather than inform them. The masters of any craft understand a fundamental truth. The path to excellence will inevitably lead through emotional wastelands. The writer faces the terror of the blank page. The entrepreneur confronts the anxiety of uncertainty. The athlete pushes through the pain of exhaustion. What separates the extraordinary from the ordinary is not the absence of negative emotions, but the refusal to be hijacked by them. Emotions are sophisticated evolutionary signals, not commands that must be obeyed. Fear alerts you to potential dangers, but needn't dictate retreat. Discomfort highlights growth edges, but doesn't require avoidance. Resistance indicates important work ahead, but shouldn't trigger abandonment. When correctly interpreted, even negative emotions become valuable data rather than debilitating obstacles. Consider that emotions, by their nature, are transient visitors, not permanent residents of your consciousness. The frustration that seems all-consuming in this moment will dissolve, often within hours. The doubt that appears overwhelming today will fade with tomorrow's progress. Those who anchor their actions to fluctuating feelings build their futures on shifting sands. Emotional mastery doesn't mean suppression. The Stoic ideal isn't emotional absence, but emotional sovereignty. The ability to experience the full spectrum of human feelings without surrendering your direction or purpose to their temporary influence. Feel the fear. Acknowledge the doubt. Honor the frustration, then proceed anyway, guided by principles rather than passing states. The great paradox of achievement is that the emotions we chase often arrive only after we've completed the work we resisted. Motivation follows action more often than it precedes it. Confidence emerges from confronting challenges, not avoiding them. Your emotional state is largely a product of your focus. Direct your attention toward perceived threats and anxiety flourishes. Fixate on past mistakes and regret expands. Concentrate on potential rewards and motivation grows. This understanding grants you tremendous power, the ability to cultivate emotional states that serve your highest aspirations rather than sabotage them. The contemporary obsession with feeling good has created generations seeking emotional comfort at the expense of meaningful achievement. But history's icons, from scientists to artists to leaders, share a common trait: the willingness to endure emotional discomfort in service of a greater purpose. Your legacy will be determined not by how you felt, but by what you did. Your impact will emerge not from emotional comfort, but from emotional courage, the willingness to act in alignment with your values, even when your feelings pull in the opposite direction. The question is not whether you will experience emotional resistance on your path to greatness. You will. The question is whether those emotions will be your masters, dictating your choices, or your servants, providing energy and insight for the journey ahead. The choice, regardless of how you feel about it, remains yours to make. Commit first, perfect later. Waiting for the perfect moment is an excuse wrapped in procrastination. Champions commit first and figure it out along the way. When Henry Ford began working on the automobile, he didn't have it all figured out. He had belief, courage, and relentless focus. You don't need a flawless plan to begin. You need a burning commitment that refuses to retreat. Perfection is a moving target. Commitment anchors you. Are you delaying your dreams, waiting for better timing, or will you leap with courage and correct your course as you move? Momentum favors the bold. Will you move? The graveyard of unrealized potential is filled with brilliant ideas that never escape the planning stage. Dreams meticulously mapped, but never pursued. Talents honed in private, but never tested in the arena. What keeps these potential masterpieces buried is not lack of capability, but the paralyzing quest for perfection before action. Action generates clarity that contemplation alone cannot provide. The writer discovers the story by writing, not by thinking about writing. The entrepreneur uncovers the viable business model through market feedback, not through endless projections. The artist finds their voice through creating, not by theorizing about creation. This principle extends beyond creative pursuits. Relationships deepen through shared experiences, not by waiting until you become the ideal partner. Health transforms through consistent movement, not by designing the perfect fitness regimen. Growth occurs through steady practice, not by consuming every available resource before beginning. Perfectionism disguises itself as high standards, but its true nature is fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of discovering that your capacity might not match your ambition. By demanding perfection before action, you create an impossible standard that guarantees inaction, and thus, ironically, ensures the imperfect outcome of never starting at all. Commitment before perfection doesn't mean embracing mediocrity or carelessness. It means understanding that excellence emerges from the iterative process rather than preceding it. The commitment-first approach harnesses two powerful forces, momentum and feedback. Motion creates energy that propels you forward despite obstacles. Action generates responses that guide adjustments and improvements that no amount of planning could anticipate. Most skills and achievements worth pursuing have a learning curve that cannot be bypassed through preparation alone. You cannot think your way to mastery. You must act your way there. The violinist develops calluses only by playing. The speaker finds their voice only by speaking. The leader learns to lead only by leading. The paradox of accomplishment is that those who demand perfection from themselves at the outset rarely achieve it, while those willing to begin imperfectly often reach heights of excellence that the perfectionists only dream about. This happens because growth requires exposure to the very challenges that perfectionism seeks to avoid. Your future doesn't need your perfect plan. It needs your decisive action, your resilient response to setbacks, your willingness to adjust course without abandoning direction. Perfection isn't the prerequisite for beginning. It's the distant reward for those committed enough to start before they feel ready. The question isn't whether you have every answer, every resource, every advantage before you begin. The question is whether you have the courage to commit while questions remain unanswered, while resources seem insufficient, while doubts still linger. Will you wait for perfect conditions that never arrive, or will you create momentum that transforms both you and your circumstances? Your identity shapes your focus. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. If you believe you are undisciplined, you will find ways to sabotage yourself. But if you see yourself as focused, relentless, and worthy of greatness, your actions will follow that belief. Identity drives behavior. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So who are you choosing to be? Every day you reinforce your identity by your choices. Are you feeding the identity of a champion or the identity of a quitter? Success isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more. Are you ready to become who your dream requires you to be? Most people approach achievement backward. They focus on changing behaviors and outcomes while ignoring the invisible force that shapes both: identity. This is why so many transformations are temporary. Behavior modification without identity shift is like painting over rust. The underlying structure remains unchanged, and the original condition inevitably returns. Your brain is constantly seeking consistency between your actions and your self-concept. When you attempt behaviors that contradict your identity, the psychological tension this creates will either force a change in identity or, more commonly, a reversion to behaviors that align with your existing self-image. This explains why many people sabotage their progress just as success appears on the horizon. Their achievements have outpaced their identity. Consider how differently these statements operate within your psychology. I'm trying to quit smoking versus I'm not a smoker. I'm working on being more disciplined versus I am disciplined. I want to write a book versus I am a writer. The first in each pair positions the behavior as external to your core self, something you do. The second integrates the behavior into your identity, something you are. Identity-based focus creates an internal compass that guides decisions without requiring constant willpower. The runner doesn't need motivation to run. Running is simply what runners do. The entrepreneur doesn't need to be pushed to solve problems. That's what entrepreneurs naturally do. The artist doesn't require inspiration to create. Creation is fundamental to being an artist. Your current identity was formed through thousands of past decisions, external messages, and interpretations of experiences. But identity is not fixed. It is a fluid, living story you tell yourself about yourself. You have the power to revise this narrative through intentional belief, strategic action, and environment design. Recasting your identity begins with language. Notice how you complete the sentence, I am. These simple words form the container that holds your potential. Expand this container by consciously adopting empowering identity statements and challenging limiting ones. Question beliefs about yourself that have no factual basis but merely represent outdated interpretations of past experiences. Actions reinforce identity, but identity also shapes actions. This reciprocal relationship creates either upward or downward spirals. Small wins that align with your desired identity strengthen that self-conception, making the next aligned action more natural. Each choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. The most powerful identity shifts often come through community and environment. When surrounded by people who already embody your aspirational identity, you naturally absorb their worldview, language patterns, and behavior standards. Their normal becomes your normal. Their expectations become your internal compass. True transformation occurs not when you achieve your goals, but when the pursuit of those goals fundamentally changes who you believe yourself to be. The weight loss is temporary. Becoming someone who prioritizes health is permanent. The business success may fluctuate. Becoming someone who creates value regardless of circumstances endures. The question is not what you want to accomplish, but who you need to become to accomplish it naturally. What identity would make your goals the inevitable outcome rather than a constant struggle? Are you willing to release outdated self-definitions that no longer serve your highest vision? Can you embrace a new story about who you are even before all the external evidence supports it? Your focus follows your identity. Choose wisely who you become. Every choice either builds or breaks you. You are always building something, either a bridge to your dream or a wall around your potential. Each time you stay focused when distraction tempts you, you lay a brick toward your future. Each time you give in, you chip away at your foundation. Nothing is neutral. Every yes and no adds up over time. Are you choosing actions today that your future self will thank you for, or actions that your future self will curse you for? When no one is watching, your real character is revealed. Will you choose the habits that build your dream, even when it's inconvenient? Life never stands still, and neither do you. In each moment, with every decision, you are becoming either stronger or weaker, wiser or more foolish, closer to your potential or further from it. There is no pause button, no neutral ground where choices don't matter. The illusion that this one doesn't count has derailed more dreams than outright failure ever could. If you make just one positive decision each day, reading instead of gossiping, creating instead of consuming, connecting instead of isolating, you'll have invested in yourself 365 times this year alone. Conversely, one daily compromise compounds into hundreds of missed opportunities. Over time, these small choices create the canyon-sized gaps between those who achieve their dreams and those who merely wish for them. Most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and vastly underestimate what they can achieve in a year of consistent, focused choices. This misconception leads many to swing between unrealistic ambitions and unnecessary despair, missing the steady middle path where lasting transformation occurs. The power of choice becomes most evident in private moments, when no external accountability exists. The workout completed when no trainer is watching. The project advanced when no deadline looms. The temptation resisted when indulgence would go unnoticed. These invisible victories may seem insignificant in isolation, but they are the silent architects of your character and capability. Every decision carries two prices, the price of discipline and the price of regret. The price of discipline weighs ounces and must be paid up front. The price of regret weighs tons and comes due later, often with compound interest. Most choose to avoid the immediate discomfort, only to face crushing regret when the full cost comes due. Your choices reveal your true priorities, not your words or intent. You claim to value fitness but consistently choose comfort over movement. Your actions reveal your actual hierarchy of values. If you declare that writing matters yet never protect time for it, your choices have spoken more truthfully than your aspirations. The most dangerous choices are often disguised as reasonable compromises. Just this once rarely happens once. I deserve a break becomes a recurring justification. I'll start tomorrow extends indefinitely. These seemingly innocent phrases form the vocabulary of surrender that, over time, constructs a prison of mediocrity around your potential. Choice by choice, you are programming your future responses. Each time you choose focus over distraction, the next focused session becomes slightly easier. Each time you select immediate gratification, the path of least resistance becomes more deeply entrenched. Your decisions today are literally shaping the person you will be tomorrow. Perhaps most profound is how your choices silently influence others. Your children who absorb your example, your colleagues who calibrate their standards to yours, your friends who are either inspired or enabled by your decisions. Your personal choices create ripples that extend far beyond your individual life. The fundamental question is not what you want. Most people want similar outcomes of health, fulfillment, and success. The question is what you will choose when wanting collides with difficulty. Will you select the path that builds you, even when it burns? Will you reject what breaks you, even when it soothes? In these moments of decision, remember, you are always under construction. Choose wisely what you build. Patience is power under control. Patience is not passive. It is active power under control. Focused individuals understand that great things take time to mature. You wouldn't rush a seedling to become a mighty oak. Likewise, your dreams require consistent nurturing, watering with faith, feeding with discipline, pruning with sacrifice. Impatience uproots potential before it can blossom. Imagine if a farmer dug up his seeds every day to check on them, he would destroy the very harvest he desired. Trust the process. Water your dreams daily. Growth happens underground long before it shows above ground. Are you patient enough to wait while you work? In our culture of instant gratification, patience has been misunderstood as weakness, as passive acceptance, as the absence of ambition. Nothing could be further from truth. The most powerful force in achievement is not frantic action, but sustained direction. The ability to maintain focus through the inevitable plateaus, setbacks, and waiting periods that punctuate every meaningful journey. Japanese bamboo farmer who tends a plot for years with no visible results. For 4 years, he waters, fertilizes, and protects seemingly barren soil. Then, in the 5th year, the bamboo suddenly grows 90 feet in 6 weeks. The question, did the bamboo grow 90 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow 90 feet in 5 years? The wise understand it was the invisible foundation, the root system developing beneath the surface, that enabled the dramatic breakthrough above ground. Impatience sabotages success through premature measurement. It demands evidence before the natural cycle of growth can produce it. It changes course before momentum can build. It abandons processes before they bear fruit. In this way, the impatient person often works harder than anyone else while producing fewer results, constantly starting anew rather than persisting to break through. The masters of any craft understand that progress rarely follows a linear path. Instead, growth occurs in bursts, separated by plateaus where visible advancement seems to halt. During these plateaus, where the impatient quit, the patient continue investing, knowing that integration must precede expansion. What appears as stagnation is often internal reorganization, preparing for the next leap forward. Patient power manifests in the ability to delay gratification, to choose the greater later reward over the lesser immediate one. This capacity has proven to be one of the most accurate predictors of life success, far outweighing raw intelligence or talent. The focused individual trades the fleeting pleasure of distraction for the deeper satisfaction of accomplishment. True patience isn't waiting for something to happen. It's maintaining purpose while something develops. It's the athlete continuing to train when progress seems stalled. It's the entrepreneur refining their offer during months without profits. It's the artist honing their craft through periods without recognition. Patience, persistence without immediate reward, forges character that fleeting success never could. The paradox of achievement is that rushing slows progress while patience accelerates it. The runner who sprints at the beginning lacks endurance for the full race. The investor who demands immediate returns makes costly mistakes. The builder who shortcuts foundation work creates structures that cannot stand. Patient power means matching your pace to the natural rhythm of your endeavor rather than forcing unnatural timelines. In relationships, in skill development, in business building, in any domain where excellence matters, the ability to sustain direction through uncertainty and delay becomes your competitive advantage. The test of patience comes when waiting becomes uncomfortable, when doubt whispers that nothing is happening, when others question your commitment, when the market seems to reward flashier but shallower alternatives. These moments reveal whether your patience stems from conviction or merely from comfort. The question isn't whether you can wait, it's whether you can work while you wait. Can you keep watering the soil when nothing seems to be growing? Can you trust the process when results remain invisible? Can you maintain focus when feedback is delayed? If so, You possess not passivity, but power under control, the patience that ultimately produces uncommon results. Obstacles are signals, not stops. Obstacles are not the universe's way of saying, give up. They are its way of asking, how badly do you want it? Every dream worth chasing will present hurdles, physical, emotional, financial, relational. But obstacles refine, not define you. They burn away weakness and reveal strength. Helen Keller didn't allow blindness or deafness to limit her vision. She chose to see with the eyes of purpose. Will you let a setback convince you that you're defeated, or will you treat every obstacle as proof that you're moving? Strength is built in the struggle. Will you rise when resistance comes? The path to any worthy destination is marked not by smooth highways, but by challenging terrain. This is not an unfortunate reality. It is a necessary design. Just as muscles require resistance to grow stronger, character and capability develop only when tested against opposition. The obstacle is not separate from the path. It is the path itself. Consider how we misinterpret resistance in our pursuits. When progress becomes difficult, we often assume we've taken a wrong turn. It shouldn't be this hard, we tell ourselves. Maybe this isn't meant to be. This fundamental misreading of struggle leads countless potential champions to abandon their course just steps before breakthrough. They interpret as rejection what is actually invitation, an invitation to grow beyond current limitations. The obstacle reveals your training gaps. Like a spotlight on weakness, it shows precisely where you need development. The presentation that terrifies you points to communication skills requiring refinement. The business challenge that stumps you highlights strategic thinking that needs expansion. The relationship conflict that repeats reveals emotional patterns awaiting transformation. In this way, obstacles become precise diagnostic tools, showing exactly what you must strengthen next. Resistance also serves as nature's authentication system. It filters out the casual from the committed, the tourists from the citizens of your dream. Anyone can claim dedication when the path is easy. Only those with genuine conviction persist when difficulties multiply. Your obstacles thus become your credentials, proving both to yourself and others that your achievements were earned rather than granted. The greatest danger is not the obstacle itself, but the meaning you assign to it. When you interpret setbacks as evidence of personal inadequacy or cosmic opposition, you fuel despair. When you view the same challenges as growth catalysts and sorting mechanisms, you generate perseverance. Same circumstance, radically different outcomes, all determined by the story you choose to believe. Most transformational journeys follow a predictable pattern. Initial excitement followed by unexpected difficulty, leading to the pivotal moment of choice. Continue despite discomfort or retreat to safety. This messy middle is where destinies diverge. Those who expect and embrace the struggle as necessary continue forward. Those who expected ease feel betrayed by difficulty and turn back. Persistence through obstacles creates an unshakable self-trust that cannot be developed any other way. Each time you continue despite legitimate reasons to quit, you prove to yourself that your commitments transcend conditions. This evolving self-relationship becomes your greatest asset, allowing you to make and keep promises to yourself regardless of external circumstances. The obstacle also reveals your true motivation. Surface desires dissolve when resistance appears. Only purpose anchored in deeper meaning provides sustainable fuel through extended challenge. When obstacles force you to articulate why your goal matters beyond immediate gratification, you discover reserves of determination previously untapped. The question is not whether you will face obstacles. You will. The question is whether you will see them as barricades or bridges, as stop signs or signposts marking your progress. Will you allow difficulty to convince you that you're on the wrong path? Or will you recognize that the obstacles themselves confirm you're moving towards something worthwhile? Your interpretation may be the single greatest determinant of your ultimate achievement. Protect your dreams. Guard your priorities. Every day, make a deliberate choice to invest your energy only where it truly matters. Block out distractions, silence the noise, and honor the mission inside your heart. Your future demands focus, and the time to act with fierce clarity is not tomorrow, it is today.